It's the second time I do this, so I'm as nervous as you are.
Oh, I'm fine.
Have you ever done something like this before?
Yeah, I had done something like this.
Okay,
before.
awesome. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you can teach me something.
Oh, I don't think so. I
All
can
right.
teach you fencing, but not this.
Yeah. All right, so here we go.
Sounds
All right,
good.
welcome everybody to the Sweet Advice Podcast, another edition of the interview podcast. We have today Margaret De Long. And Margaret, thank you for being here. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How
All
you
right.
doing?
Awesome, great. So Margaret is a fencer, and you are an owner and operator of a fencing school. You're
That's
a fencing
correct.
instructor,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're all these things. Now, for those people who don't understand what fencing is, it's not a company where you put up fences for new homes or restore fences. Okay, it's a sport. So if you want to just tell us a little bit before we get into the whole thing.
And it's good that you actually explained the difference, because many times I receive phone calls asking me about how much will cost to place a fence or to build something, or if I can instruct somebody to do that.
Right. I could see how they could get confused easily.
Exactly. It's just the wording is pretty much the same. The word fencing in English become from England, as a matter of fact,
Mm-hmm.
because fencers used to fence in a place that was around.
Oh,
a
surrounded
fence.
by a fence.
That's
Okay.
why they call the sport fencing.
Ah,
However, in other language, the word is very similar,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called in Spanish it's called esgrima.
Esgrima. Mhm.
Esgrima.
Mhm.
Esgrima. In French, it's escrime.
A scrape?
It's basically the same. Escrime. Escrime.
Oh, scream. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And in Italian, it's pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Screen. I don't remember the spelling exactly in Italian language, but it's very similar.
Right.
So esgrima, screen, string, they are all very similar words, except for the one in English that doesn't have no comparison.
Fencing. Yeah.
Fencing.
Well, that's awesome. Okay. All right. So we are going to, for those of you who want advice on fencing, how to get started in it, what fencing is, if you want to participate in it, if you want to learn the sport, we're going to get into all that stuff. But first, we want to know a little bit about you. So we're going to get some background history. So where are you from originally?
I am original from Chile, South America.
Chile.
Uh-huh.
That's a beautiful country. I've never been, but I've seen, pictures and seen
Yes.
videos. It's amazing. Are you from
Yeah.
Santiago?
Santiago de Chile.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm born in Chile. I grew up in there. But I moved from the country many years ago. I have been here in El Paso more than half of my life,
Wow.
as a matter of fact. So El Paso is home.
Okay.
However, I started fencing in Chile. I did ballet for many years, and so transitioning from ballet to fencing was a very easy thing to do.
Right.
I got over with a ballet because it was very demanding.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was introduced to the sport of fencing, was easy for me,
Right.
because there was no as demanding as was to do ballet.
That's very interesting, because I don't know if you're into boxing, but there's a fighter. His name is Vasil Lomachenko.
Mm-hmm.
And so growing up, he wanted to be a fighter. He wanted to be a boxer. And his dad said, okay, you want to be a boxer? If you want to be a boxer, you're going to have to go into ballet for a couple of years, because that is going to train you, your footwork, your balance, your legs. You're going to get your strength. He's like, so if you want to box, you need to go into ballet.
And that's completely correct, because actually the entire footwork
Mm-hmm.
in ballet is from fencing,
Right.
and vice versa.
Awesome.
So for me, it was a very easy transition and was fun. Ballet was very, as I say, as a young kid, was very demanding.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have much more life beside being a student and be a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
So when fencing come across, was a breeze, was something that I really wanted,
Right.
and I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I was part of the national team, not for very long, because of course when you get to that level, you basically need to train every day. It's a
Mm-hmm.
job.
Mm-hmm.
You eat, you sleep,
You breathe.
you breathe fencing.
Right.
But unfortunately, during that time in my country, fencing was not a very popular sport either. So was even less when it's about taking the team out of the country for international competition.
Right. Right.
So it was expensive. I remember to just go to any European country where actually fencing come from
Mm-hmm.
was very expensive.
Right. Especially from South America.
Exactly. So, of course, many families and the federation at that time couldn't afford to send the entire team, so they had to make the cut to send a few ones of them. So I went and I traveled through South America quite a bit, but I never went to Europe to compete in an Olympic. Not because we couldn't be,
Mm-hmm.
it's just financially it was not
Oh, that
feasible.
sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
That's-
Now, of course, Chile does better in that sense, but still Chile doesn't send that many people
Mhm.
to Olympics or World Championship anyway
Right. Right.
because of the finances, the financial issue.
So, just tell us a little bit, like, what was it like growing up in Chile, and then how did you get into fencing there?
Well, it's awesome. Fencing was the outlet for me to have friends, to interact, to travel, to have fun.
Right.
That was the type of my life. That was a teenager, and I enjoyed it very much. I started college at the age of 16, believe it or not.
16 years old.
I
Wow.
graduated from high school when I
Nerd.
was 16. No, I was not. I was just, my mom put me at 4 years old in the school, and I never had to be held back.
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's good. Awesome.
So by the age of 16, I graduated from high school and I started college. So I was basically doing fencing already at that time.
Mm-hmm.
By the age of 20, 21, I basically didn't, how I say, I know that I didn't want to continue to be a fencer, is that was way too much stress.
Too much pressure, stress.
Exactly, because there was college, I was fencing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot.
Right. You got to pick. You're going to study.
Exactly, because
you're gonna
I
fence.
didn't have a life. I get out of the house at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't go back until it was 11 o'clock at night.
Mm.
So it was extremely demanding.
Like, take us through a typical day. Like, what was your routine of trying to become like a professional fencer? Like, what your diet? Were you running in the mornings?
We were spending hours and hours at the center,
Mm-hmm.
at the main federation training. If I didn't have classes in the morning, as soon I finished my classes, I had to go to the center.
Okay.
And I trained for so many hours during the early morning. Then I go back to finish my classes or teach, because I start teaching as well.
Right.
And then in the evening, I had to go back for more training.
Personal training.
Yes. So there was pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
That was my life. Every day was like that.
But I mean, if you wanted to be the best fencer in the world, that's what it demands.
That's what it's going to take.
Right. I mean, like someone like Tiger Woods,
Oh, yeah.
who his dad
Oh,
was
yeah.
forcing him to train, 18 hours a day.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
But I mean, it
Yeah.
shows, but it takes a toll on.
And that's why Olympians and people that compete at high level has a very short life of expectancy as far as doing that sport
Right.
specifically. And that's the reason why, because it is very demanding. It's very strict in the way that you train, in the way that you sleep. If you have a competition, how many hours before? So it's very, very demanding.
Wow.
So your life in doing that is very short, especially when you are a college student.
Right. I mean,
yeah,
I can only imagine you're studying for a test, but you're also thinking about, I have this match coming up and this opponent, and my coach is on my, on my behind, and we gotta, I gotta pick which one I'm gonna put more effort into, because you can't do 100% of either one.
No, you can. And here in the United States, it's exactly the same. Many Olympians kind of face down on their sport career because they start college. It's very few, or if they had to put college on hold in order to compete in the Olympic Games or in a World Championship, like happened here in the United States.
Wow.
So it's no different. Of course, here, the support is different. There is more resources, and the organization has that amount. The Olympic Committee here has a great influence on those athletes.
Of course.
We in Chile still, until now, we have an organization that support athletes, but it's still difficult.
Right, it's not.
Yeah, it's
not like here.
No.
And I mean, the United States is very different than most countries, where we have the resources, we have the money, we have the athletes,
yes,
and everything is simple. It's given to you almost, know.
It is.
And that's what. But see, like when you look at like soccer, the biggest sport in the world, you look at Brazil, Argentina. Why are they so good? Because they don't have much, and they focus everything into that. It's like, if I don't do this, I'm not going to eat. My family won't have any money. And so these countries like South America and Africa and Southeast Asia, they put everything into it, and they become sometimes better than the American athlete. The American athlete
is admirable, if we had to say that it is, because under the circumstances that they train, it is amazing that they can be so good.
Right, exactly.
Under because they don't have the stadium and they don't have the facility that we have here.
Right.
So, and that's no different from fencing either. So it is, but I love the sport. I fall in love with the sport because of the many benefits. The physical advantage that the sport offers you, and the strategy behind the sport that is amazing. That made you...
It's like chess, like a human game of chess,
exactly.
Right?
You are actually playing chess with your opponent. You are trying to predict what the other one is going to react to. And you make that reaction with your weapon on your hand. And if the opponent react to, then you kind of move to the next.
Right.
The next action, the next drill. So that's what I fall in love with. Initially, I loved the uniform that was all white.
Right. And the mask and the sword.
Mask, exactly. It was kind of out of another planet. And it was so amazing to see. The first time that I was walking with my sister, and we hear the clicking of the
swords.
The swords.
Do we call them swords? Is that, or sabers?
Weapon.
Weapon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they say swords. Basically, the difference between a weapon and a sword is going to happen from the point that if you pass your finger along and your finger don't get cut, then it's a weapon. But if you pass it and you cut it, it's a
blade.
sword.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, bottom line is. We walk into this facility, and I with my sister, and we saw this, 100 of fencers in one facility fencing.
Hundreds.
There was pretty much. There was the entire team that was representing Chile at that time. They were doing the selection for the team. Everybody was white outfit, uniform, I should say. And then we looked the practice, and I saw the respect, the discipline, especially the respect that the fencer toward their coaches. You know, just coach.
Right.
You know, they
right.
usually talk maestro in Spanish, master, maestro. So they never say a you.
Right. Very respectful.
Very respectful, like in any of the martial art discipline.
Right.
Like
Taekwondo, karate, jiu-jitsu.
That you also have that respect for the person that is teaching you that particular discipline. And that's one of the things that I love, beside the fact that everybody was wearing white, and white was at that time my favorite color.
Now it's not.
Oh, it is still. I love it. Still.
Awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you're in Chile, and you're a fencer. You're training. You're going to school. So what happens then after?
Well, I met my ex-husband at that time, and believe it or not, even though we were so busy, I still have a little bit of social life, and we were kind of chaperoning some of the American students around Chile. I got in touch with some of them, helping them, because Santiago is so huge,
right,
and can be devastating for somebody coming from a small town, being a big city,
in the big city, right,
getting paid in American dollars, being a student, you can get lost. So that's the way that I met my ex-husband at that time. And of course, we get married, and we moved to the States.
Okay.
Basically, after we moved to the States, I started going back to college again.
Did you move here to El Paso?
No, we moved to New Mexico State University.
Okay, so Las Cruces,
Las
right?
Cruces.
Okay.
And the reason why, because they have a fantastic international program for, especially when you are pursuing your master's degree.
Okay.
And that I already have a bachelor degree at that time. So I applied to the program. And the first year, I was pretty much completely submerged into a school and everything like that. Not until the second year, I got in touch with the physical education department at NMSU. They actually have fencing up there.
Oh, at NMSU?
At that time. So they had classes that they offered to the college students. So I talked to the director, gave my credentials, and she said, from now on, you are going to be teaching.
We've never seen anybody like you, not even close. Can you please help us?
Exactly.
That's pretty much how it happened, right?
Exactly, because of all the credentials that I have. And of course, at that time, also I have my certification as a fencing master, because that's something that I did also in Chile. I initiated my program to become a fencing master,
which is just like a instructor.
Exactly. So
okay.
I was almost 2 years into a program with the European coaches or European fencing master to become a master.
Wow.
So that was very intense, very interesting program. I never had seen anything like that here in the United States. But Chile did a really fantastic job creating this group of people that actually this is the generation now in Chile that is teaching those new fencers. My generation, the generation that I left there. But here at NMSU, there was nobody. So for me, it was, even though I didn't even speak the language, between French and Spanish, and with the help of my ex-husband translating some of the concept, right. I was able to teach.
Okay.
So that's how we start with fencing. When I finished my degree in sport medicine, because that's what I pursued.
In sports medicine.
Sport medicine. And then I pursued also in curriculum and administration, my master's degree in that area. Then we moved to El Paso because I have an offer. I have an offer.
It's all right.
It's okay. In that field. So we moved to El Paso, and for many years I worked in the sport medicine field, and I really didn't touch anything related to fencing. I become a full-time worker and a full-time ma.
You were doing sports medicine for the university, or like
No, I was not. I graduated there, but I moved to El Paso. I got my certification and I moved to El Paso to work with a group of orthopedic doctors.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I didn't do fencing for very long time. I didn't even touch fencing. No, until my older son, I introduced him to a summer camp that we were doing at the clinic.
Okay.
We wanted to approach kids during the summer that they were overweight or they wanted to be involved in some physical activity, and we offered this program through the Del Sol, because I worked for Del Sol. At that time was Colombia.
Okay.
And for almost 20 years with them, a long time. And so we offered this program during the summer. We were looking for different activities that the kids can do. And I talked to my director and I said, you know what? I have fencing equipment at home. Let me introduce the kids to this sport.
Right. Just I haven't done it in a while.
I haven't done it in a while. Let me teach them some basics. So my son fell in love. Ma, why you never teach me?
What the hell?
Exactly.
You've been holding out on us.
He actually was doing karate, and he graduated. I told him, you need to finish with your black belt. That you're not going to quit until you're done.
Right.
He started very young with that sport, so by the age of 12, he already finished. So he and a group of friends of my son, they love the sport. So we started getting together at the clinic maybe once a week, training.
Okay.
When I received a phone call from a lady that she said, you know, I heard your name through a physical therapist that you are a fencing master. We have a group of fencers from here, from El Paso, that we would like to meet you and see if you can actually train these fencers. Well, all of
we need somebody who knows what they're doing, pretty much.
Well, they were in a club here, and they knew what they were doing. Apparently, they were not happy with the whole system that was happening. There was more like, there was another type of situation. There was not that they didn't have the skill to teach. Since that they were the only one, they were, and I know I don't want to say, but apparently the parents were not happy with the coaches.
They were doing their own schedule, and
I guess so. You know, I never really know the details. I didn't want to get involved with that.
Right, of course.
But I agreed to teach this group of fencers and take them to the next level. And actually, one of them, after 1 year training in a consistent basis, was on the top 8 finalists on U12 and U14 men's foil.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the group continued. Many of them graduate, and because of that, I decided to start my own fencing club.
Okay.
That's how we kind of started. That was my son, the one saying, "Ma, why you never taught me fencing?"
And then you thought to yourself, like, "Hey, well, you know, there's a market for it. Maybe I should look into it."
And that's what I did. And that's why we create Sal DeLong INC back on 2003, and has been in business since then.
Since 2003. Okay. Here in El Paso, Texas.
Here in El Paso,
Is
Texas.
there another satellite thing, or is just the only one?
No, I would love to.
Right.
I would love to have other satellite, and it's possible, but we need more coaches for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Coaches that are masters, because you don't want to offer something that...
You don't have to be a master. You can be a monitor. That is the first level of coaching in fencing.
Monitor.
And you can be good. You know, it's the fact that you understand the sport, the basic of the sport, But you also have the ability to connect to those people that you're teaching.
Right.
So, and that's the case of my son, Quentin, that he is a monitor in 4 ANP, and he has the ability to connect and have the patience to work with the little ones.
Like my son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
which we'll talk about in a minute.
but so that is important. When you see that connection, and then you know that you have somebody in front of you that is going to not just teach you a sport, but is teaching you a way of life in some way. Because the sport is just a tool that can shape you in a good way.
Molds you into just a better person, just more focused, more respectful, more athletic.
Yeah,
and well-rounded person.
And the sport is an individual sport, so you have the opportunity to have a lot of one-on-one with your coaches. So that devoted attention is the attention I think that our youth needs. We are working full-time. I was a ma working full-time. I am a ma working full-time before. Then you don't really have the time to devote it to your kids.
Right, yeah.
Because both parents work. That was my case when I had my little ones. I worked all the time. I was working from 7 to 4, and at 5 o'clock I was going to fencing.
Right.
So really, what was the time that I spent with my kids? Was just when I was doing fencing.
Exactly.
There was no other time. And because the sport also requires for you to travel, you are even less in contact with with your family.
To tournaments and
exactly. So
whatever it is that you're doing. Do you guys travel a lot to where like Las Cruces tournaments up there?
We belong to Region 5. There are 7 regions in the country, I believe so, and we are Region 5, and Texas. Louisiana, Arkansas, I believe so, Louisiana and Mississippi, all are the same region.
Oh, okay.
So it's a huge region.
Wow. So you compete with anybody in those states?
Exactly. And then you have regional tournaments, and then you accumulate points that allows you to qualify for nationals for this year. Actually, I have already I want to say about 7 fencers that they have been qualified for summer nationals.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's about 10 fencers that they are going to go from El Paso to St. Louis, Missouri this summer to compete.
And so, well, first of all, what is the highest level you reach? Like, what was the greatest match you ever won when you were fencing?
There was actually in a team. We actually got 3rd place, and was kind of devastated for me because my knees start giving me a lot of problems.
Okay.
Especially this competition was in Venezuela. The humidity was so high, my knees couldn't stand it. So between the match of my teammates and my own match, I was running to the sport medicine, the training room,
to ice your knees up and stuff.
To treat my knees. They were ultrasound my knees and icing it.
Eesh.
So there was quite devastating for me. And my concentration and all of that was very difficult. However, I don't know how I was able to put it together. And the team got in that particular tournament the 3rd place.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're in the zone and you're focused and you're like, I don't want to let my team down, and
that's
adrenaline.
I think if it will be an individual, I probably will quit way before.
Right.
But because I felt that I had that responsibility to be part of the team, because the team is 3 fencers, I couldn't let my teammates down. Right. I couldn't. So I overcome the pain. And that was also one of the reasons that I couldn't, after I went back to Chile, and I talked to my physical therapist, basically they didn't give me that many options. There was either surgery and go back to the sport after a long rehab,
Right.
or basically just take it easy.
Just, hey, I don't want to say quit, but it's not looking good.
And that's why it was one of the other reasons that in reality I didn't continue that stress of training because of that. Because I was unable to do it. And then at that time, there was no arthroscopic surgery that they do just 2 holes on your knee.
Right.
There was a whole cut on each side of the knee. And I said, you know what? I don't think so. It's not worth it. It's going to take a while for me to get back.
Right.
Just let it go.
Right.
And that's why I started at that time teaching. And actually, I love it. I really love it.
Yeah, a lot of people, like a lot of athletes, they go through depression when they realize they can't do it anymore, and they just can't take it. And they're like, oh, what am I supposed to do now?
Well, but there are so many things that you can do. It doesn't matter what is the sport.
Right.
If you love the sport, you will love all the aspects of the sport. And for me, teaching, without even realizing, I was a teacher since the time that I born. I had 2 brothers and 1 sister, and every day after the school, I sat down my sister and my 2 brothers on a table, and I helped them. So without me that was my nature.
You're a teacher at heart.
Exactly. I was already teaching them. So for me, teaching fencing was very easy, very simple. Well, I felt that I had the pedagogy to teach, to connect to the student, and to make them to do something that they will improve by doing the sport.
Awesome. Okay, so you moved to El Paso. You rekindle your love with fencing. Your kids are telling you, hey, how come you never told me about this? They fall in love with the sport. You fall back in love with the sport.
Yes.
And so you open up your own fencing school.
I opened the company. Initially I didn't have my own facility. I was leasing out of the YWCA or the YMCA.
Oh, okay, just renting out like a room or something?
Exactly, renting the room. So really nobody knew about Sal DeLong at that time.
Right.
And I really didn't take the business as a business because I was working full time. I had my career. I have financially, I was doing really well because of that. So fencing was more like a hobby.
Right.
Was my distraction. So no until life change, and I went through the divorce, and then you had to put yourself in, kind of put everything on hold,
right,
and kind of reevaluate where you are in life.
Right.
So I decided, initially to go back to school, but financially it was not feasible going back to school.
And working full time.
Exactly. So I decided to make Sal DeLong work, to treat it like I should have treated from the beginning.
From the very beginning.
As a business. And that happened back in 2014.
Okay.
So after so many years,
from 2003 to 2014.
11 years after, I definitely say, we are going to do this in the way that's supposed to be.
The right way.
The right way. And we are going to make a living out of this. And since then, financially it's very difficult, but it's not impossible.
Right.
And can happen. Treat it as a business.
Absolutely.
And I had the opportunity to meet a wonderful person that is actually helping me in that particular department.
Like advertising and...
Helping in that, and also budgeting in the way that I will not feel that I'm going month to month without knowing what's going to happen.
Right.
So getting all my business on the right line and do the right things. I have friends a very good friend that's the one that take care of my website, and she also helped me tremendously putting a contract together, doing like what a business should do.
Mm-hmm.
Creating a website, creating a Facebook account.
Being on a podcast.
Exactly. So all of those things has been working.
Right.
There is a lot more to do. Oh, yes.
Of course. There's always something to learn, something to do.
Yeah.
But, like what this podcast is all about is we're trying to give people advice. Just if you never try, you're never going to know. You got to put yourself out there. You got to take it seriously. Just like being an athlete, just like running a business, everything, you got to put your heart and soul into it if you want to make it work. And sometimes it doesn't work and you just have to try again. You just got to keep going. If you lose a match, you're not going to quit. You're going to look at the tape. What did I do wrong? And how can I fix it? How can I go forward?
But teaching is the easy part,
right.
Believe it or not. The business is the hardest part.
Right. It's cutthroat.
It's the hardest part because you need to think about everything before you think about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So having your own business, if you ask me what type of advice I will give it to anybody that have a small business, as small as my corporation,
right,
is never give up.
Mm-hmm.
And you are not going to be the center of attention in your business. You are going to be the one doing all the work
behind the scenes
with no recognition.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And the reason that you do it is because you love what you do.
Exactly.
And because you that passion that you feel for whatever field you are, you're capable to transmit that passion to your clients, to the people that is around you.
Right. And we need more people like that take things seriously, that, when they open up a business, you don't walk into the business and you feel lost, no one's helping you. You got to be on top of all that stuff. You got to be friendly, you got to be entertaining, you got to make people come back, and you got to do all that stuff.
And that is the hardest part. Many company and software, they offer you, we can do appointment for you. We can do this. You can schedule online. You can do this. But nobody really teach you that face-to-face with your clients.
Right. That's something you just have to learn as you go.
Exactly, because it doesn't matter if you book online and you go to a class, if you don't connect with the people that is in that particular environment, you are not going to come back.
Right. That's very interesting. So let's talk a little bit about your school. My son Ari obviously attends your school. He's 6 years old. And so the reason why we put him in the fencing school is because my son has motor skill delays. We've already kind of talked about that. So I'm just going to tell a story for people who don't know very quickly. My son was born at 24 weeks. He was the size of this bottle right here, this little Fiji bottle. And when he was born, he was born probably the most premature you can be. And he was in the hospital for about 4 months in the NICU, the little incubator machine. And, the doctors would tell us, there's not a good chance that he's even going to survive. So we had to go through all that, and, he's not going to make it. Most kids that are born that young don't make it. So some time went on, and they're like, well, it looks like he's going to make it, but, he's not going to walk. He's not going to talk. He's going to be like a vegetable, So we're like, oh, my God, like what? So, all that is going through your mind. And as a parent, you're just like, oh, my God, what do we do now? How do, you don't know. You don't even know how to react. It's just one of those things. You're just like paralyzed, And so more time went on, and the doctors are like, we don't know how to explain this, but he's growing. He's getting better, and he's surviving, And, we but they're like, look, don't keep your hopes up. He's probably going to be paralyzed. His legs will never work, and, whatever. And so we were like, okay, well, at least he's alive, And more time goes on, and they're like, you have a miracle child here, because he is pretty much normal. I mean, he had his difficulties, and he had all kinds of things. He had basically an air bubble in his gut that can kill you. So they had to do surgery on that, take the air bubble out. They removed like 12 inches of his gut, or 6 inches, something like that. So he has a big scar and everything. But he's a survivor. He survived. But, he does have motor skill delays, meaning like he can't really stand on one foot and like for more than half a second. Going upstairs is very difficult for him. But other than that, he's like super normal. He talks, he laughs, he plays, he runs, but not like the other kids. So, my whole dream as a dad, I'm like, oh, he's going to play football, or he's going to be a boxer, or he's going to do this, he's going to do that. But then I was like, okay, so we're going to have to rethink our plan here. I want him to do sports so he can get better with his motor skill delays. Mm-hmm. So we put him in Little League soccer, right? And he was out there. The first thing is Little League baseball, T-ball. And that didn't work. He was out in the center field picking flowers with some other kids while the game was going on. So we're like, you know what? One season is good. We're going to move on to Little League soccer. Maybe it's more engaging, more entertaining for him. And it was. He liked it a little bit more. But it was one of those things where he was kind of holding the team back because he really didn't know what he was doing. And he was slower. He was smaller. He couldn't kick the ball as well. But he started progressing. Like anything, you practice, you get better. So then I was like, you know what? We need to figure something else out. So I started thinking to myself, what sport can we put him in that is non-contact but still very athletic? So we thought swimming. Maybe we put him in swimming. That's a total body workout. But then, we were like, well, I don't want his arm stops working in the middle. He ends up drowning or something. All that things go through parents' heads. But at the school he goes to, they already have swimming classes. So that's kind of covered with that. So then I thought to myself, what about tennis? Tennis is non-contact and is very athletic, but he can't really hold up a racket. He's really skinny and weak, and so then I was thinking, I was like, man, what can we put him in? And then I thought to myself, as a friend of mine had his kid in fencing back in Houston. And speaking of humidity, don't go to Houston.
I know.
It's the worst.
I know.
Worst humidity
we
ever.
We had to be there.
Oh, you going?
Oh, yeah. We had to be there at least one or twice during the season for regional.
Man,
and
it's so bad. It's gross.
I know.
Like you take a shower and you get out the shower and it's like you have another shower.
Exactly.
Of sweat. Exactly. It's so disgusting.
I know.
So anyway, my friend had his kid in fencing, and I remember it's like, oh, what about fencing? And honestly, I don't know anything about fencing. Most people don't, and it's just you remember the white suits with the mask and the weapon, right? Not the sword. So I went online and I started looking, like, is there a fencing school? And I told my wife, I'm like, hey, there's this fencing school really close here. Let's check it out. So we sent you the message and you got back to us, and then we ended up going, and honestly, he loved it from the very beginning. It was like you said, it was very captivating. Like you walk in and you see the suits all in white, and you see people trying to kill each other in the sport with the weapons. And to him, he was like, Daddy, I want to do that. Can you teach me? I'm like, well, that's why we're here, baby, so you can learn. The teachers are going to help you. And it was awesome because you guys have the uniforms. Yes. I thought we were going to have to buy the whole uniform, the mask.
We provide all of that.
You guys provide everything, which is awesome.
Yes.
And it comes included with the fee,
yes.
The monthly fee. And so, I'm really competitive, And so that's why I don't know if you notice, when I drop off my son, when we go to the fencing class, I sit in my chair, the same chair all the time, and I get on my phone because I know myself. Because if I start watching what he's doing, I'm going to get up and scream, Ari, what the hell are you doing? Why aren't you doing? And I was doing that in the soccer, and the coach is like, hey, you got to calm down. They're just kids. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. But I want so much more for him, and he's got the delays.
But you can see the difference from when Ari started.
Oh yeah,
from where he is right
absolutely. The fencing, I just noticed like him getting off the car, jumping off, walking up the stairs, because all the balancing, all the squatting.
Because all the motor skills are growing, are bringing the best out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the beauty about this sport. There's not that you want champion at the age of 7. Is that what the sport offer you is probably any other sport will do, with the different that fencing challenge not just your body to get the coordination, the fitness, the stamina, the squatting that is so important, especially in young kids, because those things you don't develop until the age of 8 or 10.
Right.
Some kids develop a little earlier, but the ability to sit down in a squatting position is something that takes time.
Right.
Once that you do it, your quads muscle are going to become stronger. Your hip muscle are going to become stronger. And fencing is one of those sports that is no age limit.
Right.
Your career don't finish when you are 40 or 30, 30 or 40. There are fencers that they are 80 and plus.
Wow. And I sometimes I sit there and I'm like thinking like, instead of just sitting here, I could be doing, learning a little bit, or at least the exercise.
It is. We offer every Friday, we offer classes for the adults and people that they want to do it for the fitness part.
Right.
I don't like to walk in a treadmill. I do the walking around the park because I have 2 dogs that I had to walk.
Of course.
And, it's great. It's a stress relief. But if I had to do anything that I enjoy and exercise at the same time, that would be fencing.
Right.
Because you are playing with a weapon and you don't pay attention how much you're sweating behind the fencing mask and how many calories you're burning in just a short period of time.
Right. And, so I got really curious. I was like, what is this all this fencing stuff about? So I went to YouTube. And I started, I typed in best fencing match ever or something dumb like that. And what I saw, it really like opened my eyes up. I'm like, what the hell is this? Like these guys are running full speed at each other, like literally running, hitting, with the swords, with the weapon. And it's like, wow, like that is super athletic. And then this one guy, he went backwards and he was sliding, like holding his balance, sliding backwards. And then he ran forward and the other guy slid backwards. And it's like, this is amazing. Like, how can you do that? I mean, obviously it's years of practice. You got to be super strong and, dedicated, and what you're doing. But that metal strip, I guess, whatever.
It is called metal strip.
It's I guess, a metal strip. They were sliding back and forth at full speed. And these guys were like, bam, 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 bam. It's like in a matter of seconds.
Yes.
And so I'm assuming if you get touched, that's it. It's like anywhere in the body, or?
Well, depending on the weapon, fencing has 3 weapons: foil, épée, and saber. And each foil, épée, and saber.
Saber, okay.
And all of those are descendant of the sword weapons.
Right.
The foil used to be the killing weapon, and was called the killing, like the rapier, because the whole idea was to puncture your opponent for life and death. Okay. Anywhere where the main organs are located. So the target where the main organs are located is versus your torso, the trunk. So the target in the Olympic sport of fencing remained the same. And you still had to score with the tip of your weapon. Épée was the dueling weapon, the weapon of honor.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
honor.
Exactly. So the whole idea was just to drop a blood out of your opponent, not to kill it, just to say, I'm better. Right. And defend the honor of my family. And saber was the cavalry weapon, the one that you were sitting in a horse and you were fighting in the horse. So in épée, the whole target the target is the entire body.
Oh, okay. So
it
anywhere.
doesn't matter anywhere. The toe, the fencing mask, the arm. So the strategy behind is completely different in the
Right,
three
for
weapons.
each weapon.
Exactly, because you depending on the target that you're protecting. Epee is going to be the more conservative because you have to protect the entire body.
Right.
Sabre is the more aggressive. And basically, the target is from the waist up.
Oh, okay.
And besides scoring with the tip of the weapon, you are also going to score with the blade himself. So the whole blade.
Oh, the whole blade.
Is
So one is just the tip, and the other one is any part of the
two weapons, foil and epee, you score with the tip of the weapon.
Okay.
In sabre, you score with the blade primarily.
Okay.
And also you score with the tip.
Well, that's much harder because you have to defend everything.
Sabre is the second fastest object after the bullet. That fast it is.
Wow.
The decision making in sabre, and it's insane. Because I can't even think.
That's probably what I was watching, the back and forth.
The speed and the decision making is just your mind. You have to be sharp. You have to be quick. You can't hesitate 1 millisecond of time because they don't even take the time in sabre, because a match of 5 touches finish in less than a minute.
Oh, wow. Jesus. And this is Olympic stuff, right? This is at the highest level.
Yes.
Man.
And that's why it's so amazing to see these people.
Yeah, it is.
Especially, United States has, in this fight last year, has making a remarkable improvement in the European continent. We are the number 1 team in the nation right now.
Wow.
In men's foil.
Okay.
We have amazing fencing. We have representation in all the weapons, men's and women's. When I learned fencing, women were restricted to epee and foil.
Boo.
And it's a sport that was not targeted to women initially.
Right.
That was dominated by men. And in the coaching field, it's even more. You don't have that many women's coaches. There are some amazing women up there, not just athletes, but also coaches. So it is difficult. And it's a difficult thing that you have to do every day. When you start training these kids, you have the parents. And usually, when they see a female coach, they feel sometimes that they know better.
Oh.
And so, sometimes...
More heartwarming and more caring.
Yes,
right.
So it is challenge. It's every time it's challenge. You take your kids to competition and your parents are going with them because they are young fencers. So usually parents travel with them. So people think, I can coach my kid better.
Right.
Okay, like you, the mistake that you did. Yes, you can do it. Come on, pushing.
It's like, hey, I'm the coach.
Exactly.
You need to calm down.
Exactly.
Let me do my job. That's why you're paying me.
Exactly. Right? So, I never say exactly like that, but in very kind words, I basically tell the parents, let me be the coach. Don't confuse them.
Right.
Because it's confusion.
They need to listen to one voice only.
Exactly. So it is always challenge. It's always challenge.
Well, you obviously know what you're doing. And so if you guys that are listening and watching, go to the website. What is the website again?
saldelong.com. SALLEDELONG.com.
So if you go under the links, sorry, what was it?
The link for Facebook or for the website?
No, credentials.
For the credentials.
Click under the credentials. I mean, you have a list that is ridiculous, right? It's so you also teach at Fort Bliss?
I do. I teach at Fort Bliss as well. 5 years ago, we started with the program, and still the program is strong and very good because a lot of the Fort Bliss is a feeder for some that want to take the sport to a different level.
Right.
A lot of the fencers right now that they are in the program are Fort Bliss kids. Unfortunately, many of them are going to lose them eventually.
Right, because the parents have to move.
Exactly.
And shout out to all the soldiers. We thank you for your service.
Yes.
Fort Bliss is like one of the biggest army bases in the nation, right?
Probably. Fort Bragg is probably
Fort Bragg, right.
Yeah, it's the biggest one. I will say probably Fort Bliss be the second one or the third one. And I'm not familiar with all the different forts in the nation. I know that definitely we offer the program here, and the program is very strong. And I wanted to actually add, because you asked me about the SAL. What is the name?
Yeah, what does that mean?
SAL means in French school.
School, okay.
And SAL is also a word that's close to the Spanish word sala.
Sala.
That's
like a room.
Room.
Okay.
Classroom.
Okay.
So basically, salon.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. So the word Sal, DeLong, is the school of DeLong, and DeLong is my last name.
Oh, so your school of fencing, pretty much.
It's basically, and a lot of the fencing master, they like to feel that is the school of that particular discipline.
Do like other fencing schools, are they called SAL as well?
They call, but not that many.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you are going to see when you see SAL, usually they have in Houston. In Houston, we have another SAL. It's called Sal Maro.
Okay.
And the coach, his first name is Maro. He's from Egypt.
Wow.
So you have a lot of international coaches here in United States. And that's why one of the reasons also, that interaction between the United States coaches and European coaches make a unique blend of having such a great outcome in international level right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That blend has been working really well.
Cool. So you're also a professional member of the United States Fencing Association. So do you just kind of apply? You send your resume, or they have to watch you to become a member?
Basically, I have been a member of the United States Fencing Association since that I registered back on 19.
When you went to NMSU,
89.
pretty much? Wow, okay.
And at that time, I also become a certified fencing master recognized by the United States Fencing Coaches Association.
Okay.
Now, basically what you do, you pay a fee to the United States Fencing Association every month, but now it's more restricted because you had to go through a background check, and they also I had to every year complete a safe sport training.
Right, which you have a master's in, so you're good.
So all that is requirement to become. Now, under the Fencing Coaches Association, we have 3 fencing masters in Texas. I am one of them.
Okay.
And that's all that we have.
That's awesome, though.
We have a few fencing masters in one weapon now. There's very few that are capable to teach the 3 weapons.
Mm-hmm.
My strength is mostly in épée and foil. My weakness is saber because we don't offer that particular program. But usually I teach private lesson in saber.
And that's the more dedicated, the faster thinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, depending what level you want to take it.
You need some real athletes to do that, huh?
Well, yes.
Awesome. All right, so I mean, you obviously know what you're doing, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
So last thing, like if you go back to Chile today, like are you regarded as a hero, like a big fencing master? Everybody knows you in the fencing world?
Yes.
Awesome.
I stay in touch with so many of my friends that I become teammates at that time. We become coaches at the same time. I still in touch with them. Not many of them are still in Chile. I have a few friends that are in Europe, and through actually Facebook, we stay in touch.
Right.
We love the sport. We all love the sport. And that's quite the connection between all of us. A lot of them are female coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very connected to that particular group because I'm also a female coach. And we know how difficult sometimes is to be a female coach. But we keep connected. And I went to Chile when my mom passed away, and I visited the Fencing Federation.
Okay.
And I was welcomed with the arms open. And everybody was extremely happy to see me, and I was extremely happy to see everybody up there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
well, I've never been to Chile, but I Jesus Christ, I want to go so bad. I mean, I want to go. I've been to Peru. That's the only South American country I've been to.
What part in Peru?
Lima? Well, me and my wife went to, we landed in Lima, and then we went to Cusco to go see Machu Picchu, which is
beautiful,
probably the most amazing place that I've ever been to so far. I don't know if anything can top Machu Picchu. And then we traveled down to Nazca, and we saw the Nazca lines. We got in a little airplane, and it was a horrible experience though, because in order to see what the Nazca lines, the plane has to turn sideways or almost upside down so that you could take a picture. And Jesus, it was not pretty. I was not ready for that. I was not prepared. And, but then we went sandboarding in this place called Huacachina. And it's like an oasis in the middle of the desert. It's so awesome. But, South America, it was awesome. It treated us good. I want to go back. Chile is a destination. I hear the food, like the seafood is amazing. The scenery, just going hiking and to go see some condors and things like that.
And this country, when I lived there, they didn't have the amount of exposure that they have now. They have been promoting Chile in a different level. I also, through Facebook, I received some type of advertisement about visiting Chile.
Right.
And and I look those pictures and I said, my God, this country is so beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. It doesn't matter what part you go. It's a narrow country, and you are so close to the mountains and the ski resources, and you are so close to the ocean. It is just beautiful. Yeah. The people is amazing.
It kind of has like a European feel a little bit too in Santiago.
They say that Chile is the Europe of South America.
Wow.
Argentina as well, because they are very well developed country as well, Argentina and Chile. But usually they always say that we are the European country in South America.
Wow.
Because of their all the things that they are capable to offer. Wow. And I am blessed that I came from there. I'm blessed that I'm here.
We're glad to have you.
and I love El Paso, very different from Santiago.
El Paso's very different than any city in America. Let me tell you that much.
Took me a while. I was in shock when I moved to Las Cruces. I
think
couldn't
everybody's
believe.
in shock when they come here.
I was in shock when I moved to El Paso. I couldn't believe. But, this city has been amazing to raise my kids here.
And it's grown so much.
Yes. And then we all talk about how dangerous we are because we are connected to
Juarez, the most dangerous city in the world.
Exactly. And honestly, I never have seen any type of issue with living here in El Paso.
Right. Yeah, I mean, these last 3 years that I've been here, I've never felt so safe. I mean, coming from Houston, where you turn the TV on and it's
always something happening.
Violence. I mean, bank robbery,
yes,
carjacking, murder, police officer shot. And that's all you see on the news. And you come here, and it's like, we're opening up a new Whole Foods. We're throwing a parade. It's like, that's all you see. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, this is awesome. Like, it's a happy news. Like, you want to watch the news. Yes. In Chicago, Detroit, Houston, I mean, you don't even want to watch the news.
No.
It's so bad, you know?
It is actually a fantastic city. I love the weather. We have summer and spring pretty much the entire year. We cry a little bit because it's too cold a couple of years of the year. A couple of days of the year.
We get some snowfall here. That's nice.
Yes. But beside that, it's a shame that we don't have more outdoor activities that we can do. More
exactly.
park, more green, something more
some
inviting.
Water parks or something, a theme park. Yeah.
It is amazing that we could do so much. I enjoy my swimming pool during the summer. Oh, it's heaven for me.
Nice.
Because it's the perfect weather. It's the perfect weather.
Well, I mean, as the city grows, your fencing is going to grow. Your school's going to grow.
And that's what we're looking for. My fiancé is helping me tremendously right now with a business plan for El Paso Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
El Paso Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. We actually met with them last year. They are very excited to receive our business plan.
Wow. That's awesome.
For many reasons. Being a Hispanic, be a woman, be in business, and be offering something that is unique.
Yeah.
And so we are going to be pursuing with that, and I want to take this to a different level. And my dream is to be able to offer the sport not to those ones that they just can't pay, but to those ones that they are good students, but also can be good athletes.
Right.
And they can do it for, so the city can help for this. So those are some of the plans in mind. They do this in New York. There is an amazing corporation there that is a non-profit corporation. It's called Westbrook Foundation. And they receive millions of dollars every year to help the Black community.
Wow. $1 million? Wow. Like to do programs like this?
Program specifically in fencing to promote the sport to those kids in the Black community that they know that if they go any other where, they're going to be dropping out.
Right.
So they gather these kids. The catch is that you had to be a good student and you had to maintain a particular GPA.
Okay.
But if that's the case, you are going to be an athlete the entire time for free. And many Olympians has become from these type of programs.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You'd be surprised and amazed that some of the best athletes are the kids that no one gave a shot.
Exactly.
The kids that people told them, you're not going to do anything in life. And it's sad.
And so here is no reason that we can do the same thing for our Hispanic community.
Exactly.
Why not to help those ones that they are already helping themselves to exceed academically, and we can help them in succeed in sport.
Absolutely.
So
wow,
that's the dream.
That's awesome. So we definitely need to check back with you in maybe 6 months, maybe a year.
Maybe in a year.
And hopefully you guys have expanded. You're growing. You have maybe one of your friends from Chile can come and be another instructor, master instructor. Or maybe something else is going on, and so we'll check back with you guys.
Sounds good.
So how do people get in touch with you?
They can do it through the website. They can actually contact me, saldelong.com. They can my email is there, and it's pretty much the same, saldelong@gmail.com. So it doesn't change.
Okay.
Or they can actually follow me through Messenger on Facebook. Facebook, Sal DeLong as well.
Okay, so just search Sal DeLong and you should pop right up.
Yeah, there's nothing different. You can, if you forget the name Sal DeLong, you can just say fencing in El Paso, and Sal DeLong will be there.
Okay, you have a Twitter?
I don't.
We got to get you a Twitter.
Yes, I have. But I never update the pictures in there.
Yeah, you're like me. I just started a Twitter for this, and I haven't posted Twitters. One thing on there. But I
my
have to.
website friend is the one that she actually opened the account for Twitter. But it's so hard to keep up with everything.
Right.
I usually use Facebook to promote the sport, to announce when we had monthly competition, because every month we have a local tournament.
Right.
We are in the heart of El Paso, right there in Montana on Octavia.
Mm-hmm.
Very easy to get from anywhere. I have people that come from Clint, from Las Cruces, far northeast.
Mm-hmm.
So that location is the perfect one, right there in Montana and Octavia, 1105 East Yandell.
Awesome. All right. So for those of you watching or listening, if you're ever in the El Paso area, you want to check out the school, just hit Margaret up and walk in. They're very friendly. Like I said, my kid went in there and he was, amazed, and he's hooked on it now. So no matter where we end up, he's going to want to go to the fencing schools. And I know, I see the students that are in there, they're very dedicated and they're very respectful. And everything runs very smoothly. Mm-hmm. And so I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Margaret, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Awesome. And so that concludes another episode of the Sweet Advice Podcast. Everybody stay tuned for more interviews that we're going to be having. We're going to have some amazing people just like Margaret. And so I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned.